Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John and it's officially July. We're halfway through the year, so there's no better time than now to check in on what has been the top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2024 so far. And just remember that this list is completely opinion based, so you guys might disagree with me, maybe you agree with me. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you guys think have been the top 10 4K Blu-ray releases of 2024 so far? And without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Just know that this list, I didn't really base it on the price or anything like that. It's really is just as far as the transfer itself goes. When I do my 4K Blu-ray reviews, I always include the price in the final score or what they included in the previously released Blu-ray. All that stuff factors into the final grade for each and every single 4K Blu-ray. But with this list, it's really going to come down to just the transfer, the visual quality, the audio quality, and the extras. That's how I was able to rank these. So this is the top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2024 so far that you must own.
Steel team,
you'll do absolutely nothing without direct orders from me.
There is something down there.
At number 10, we got The Abyss, James Cameron's 1989 sci-fi classic, in my opinion. And out of the three James Cameron 4K Blu-rays that came out this year, Aliens, The Abyss, and True Lies, I think The Abyss was by far the best. James Cameron used that artificial intelligence DNR, and I think it worked better on this film, and I think they knew it too. This got a re-release in theaters last December, so they were really more excited about this transfer than any other. And I mean, this movie is just absolutely gorgeous, so it lent itself so well to the 4K Blu-ray format with all those beautiful purples and blues and pinks. It worked so well. The audio is fantastic as well, and if you enjoy The Abyss, this is the one that they definitely nailed. I'm not a big fan of Aliens. I am happy to have True Lies on 4K Blu-ray, but I think Aliens out of the three was the worst, but The Abyss was by far the best.
fuck off.
And then at number 9, Killer Clowns from Outer Space from 1988. This was released by Scream Factory earlier this year. You could have got a standard edition, or you could have got this beautiful 4K steelbook. One of my favorite steelbooks that I have ever gotten. The camera doesn't do this 4K Blu-ray steelbook any justice. I mean, it is great. And if you're a fan of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I know there's a lot of fans out there, it's got a pretty big cult following. One of the better 1980s horror films. You know, it's got almost that B-movie feel with its cheesy effects and cheesy story, but if you like that, you're gonna love this 4K steelbook. It's a great transfer, and even if you get the standard edition, it's still a great transfer. You still get plenty of extras, so it's definitely worth your time and money, and that's why it's at number 9 for me.
You're gonna need a crew as nuts as you are.
And at number 8, this might be cheating, but I'm going to include the entire Ocean's trilogy from Warner Bros. You could have bought these in steelbook form individually if you would have liked. I got the standard edition that just has all 3 movies in here. All 3 of these movies were directed by Steven Soderbergh, came out in the 2000s, starring George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Bernie Mac, Julia Roberts. I mean, the cast goes on and on. Casey Affleck is in these movies, Sean Conn. We didn't even talk about Matt Damon. The cast for all 3 of these movies are stacked. Oceans 12 and 13 pale in comparison to Oceans 11. Oceans 12 and 13 are still a lot of fun, but Oceans 11 is a movie that just stands out in the crowd. It's one of the best heist movies of all time. All 3 of these movies are just flat out a good time, and thankfully these 4K transfers from Warner Brothers are absolutely fantastic. Now, I didn't have the previously released Blu-rays to compare them to, but from what I saw, these are good transfers from Warner Brothers and definitely worth your time and money. I didn't even think that they overpriced this. I think this was like $54 at the time it came out, so I thought that was pretty fair as well. But the transfers themselves, I absolutely appreciated it. And each and every single film got their own set of extras, so you got 11, 12, and 13. They all got extras. Some were better than others, but either way, as an extras junkie, I really did appreciate what they did with the Ocean's trilogy on 4K Blu-ray.
I see possible futures all at once.
And now for the only film that came out in 2024 that's gonna make this list is Dune Part 2. And this 4K Blu-ray is amazing, even without the IMAX enhanced scenes, which a lot of us have been asking for. We didn't get that with Dune Part 1, and the same thing carried over to Dune Part 2, despite the fact that this film looked amazing in IMAX. But still, it is a great 4K Blu-ray disc, shot with some of the best cameras. The audio is almost reference quality. You know, the other thing that they did is some extras didn't end up on this 4K Blu-ray disc, but I still can't recommend to you guys enough to pick up Dune Part 2 on 4K Blu-ray. Yes, it might be a little bit pricey, even if you don't pick up the steelbook, but Dune Part 2 is still one of the best films of the year. It's actually my second favorite film of 2024 so far, only behind Challenges, so I had a blast watching this movie in theaters. And, you know, it is a step down when you watch it at home, but they definitely did a great job on this 4K Blu-ray disc, despite the fact that it is missing some stuff. And, you know, hopefully down the line we do get an IMAX enhanced version, which I will complain about when it does come around because they could have just gave it to us now, but I'll still be there picking it up. So what does that tell you?
She's making an offer
Caesar's Mafia, huh?
I need your help, Corky.
only a fool would refuse.
And then at number 6 is a movie I reviewed pretty recently from the Criterion Collection, and that is Bound, directed by the Wachowskis, released in 1996, starring Jennifer Tilly, Joey Pants. I mean, this movie is fantastic. What a story in this movie. The story and the plot is what gets you hooked. But then this new 4K from the Criterion Collection is just phenomenal. They hit a grand slam with this one. It looks and sounds better than I ever thought it could possibly look and sound. I expected them to half-ass the audio because they only gave us one audio track on here, given it's a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, and I'm not lying to you guys when I say that is one of the best DTS HD Master Audio 5.1s that I have ever heard. But then you go to the visuals. It's got a lot of blacks in it, but it's also got a lot of color in it with the red. You know, this was seen late in the movie where like the blood ends up falling into this white paint, and it just looks so gorgeous. And I mean, this 4K Blu-ray, I'm telling you, every other time I've ever seen Bound, which is only a couple times, it never looked and sounded as good as it does here. Which, you know, the Wachowskis know how to shoot a movie, given this is their directorial debut, or at least for a major studio. This is the movie they did before The Matrix. And this movie is almost as good as The Matrix. They don't have as much money, so a lot of this does take place in like 2 apartments for the most part. But still, they make the best use of that. Great editing, well shot, sounds amazing. It's the Wachowskis. Check out Bound.
You need to know about me, that I'm gonna bag the mothers that killed Mike. If that means breaking every point of procedure, then they're broke.
And then at number 5, NARC. This is most known for its insane opening to the movie, but this movie came out in the early 2000s, and it always looked like an early 2000s movie, which means it didn't ever really look that great. But this 4K Blu-ray really cleaned up everything. It almost made it look like a new movie in the best way possible, because I never thought of NARC as a good-looking movie, but now I do, and all of that is thanks to Arrow Video and this amazing 4K transfer they gave us, and they gave us this really nice slipcover as well. When you come underneath, this artwork is reversible. I appreciate it when they do things like that, but the 4K Blu-ray visually and audio is absolutely stunning. You get plenty of great extras as well. I didn't know too much about the director. I didn't know too much about his relationship with Ray Liotta, but now I do, and all of that is thanks to this beautiful 4K Blu-ray from Arrow. I mean, this really is one of the best of the year. It was actually kind of hard for me to put it at number 5. Once we get into the top 5, a lot of these can interchange with each other because I really love each and every single one of them. You know, making the second half was a little bit easier, but putting the top 5 in order was really hard for me because I think that NARC is a great 4K Blu-ray from Arrow Video.
You cocksucker! You fucking miserable fucking cocksucker!
And then at number 4, this was announced in 2022 that the new scan for this movie, Bad Lieutenant from 1992, was being worked on. This one is directed by Abel Ferrara. This is the same guy who gave us The King of New York, which is a great movie, but I still think that Bad Lieutenant might be my favorite of his films, even though I love The King of New York, and I'll go back and forth with that forever. But when I watch Bad Lieutenant and I watch Harvey Keitel give his career best performance the same year as Reservoir Dogs, that's insane. And Bad Lieutenant is arguably a great film. I know a lot of people might feel uncomfortable with the subject matter. Me personally, I understand it. I don't really relate to it because I'm not an absolute psychopath, because this guy has every single vice in the book. He's addicted to sex, gambling, drugs, alcohol, you name it, the guy's addicted to it. And of course, he's got some power because he's a lieutenant for the NYPD. We tie in a great Mets storyline into this movie. You know, it doesn't really have too much of a through line. We're really just following this guy, except for that Mets storyline that is going on. It's a 7-game series where the Mets are down 3-0. Can they come back? That's something you're going to have to find out when you check out the movie. And this 4K Blu-ray, I've seen Bad Lieutenant a bunch of times. It doesn't even come close to how good this 4K Blu-ray looks. They maintain that early 90s feel, that early 90s tone, especially that New York tone, which is something I can relate to this because Abel Ferrara, he knows how to shoot New York. You know, he doesn't always set his movies in New York, but when he does, I mean, you can just tell that he's a New Yorker, and I think that Bad Lieutenant is one of those great 4K Blu-rays. Definitely Kino Lorbe's best, in my opinion. Kindergarten Cop I wanted to put on the list because it's a great transfer visually, but you got no extras, and I got to knock it for that. And then at number 3, you guys saw my most anticipated of 2024, and I had no idea that this movie was going to even be coming to 4K Blu-ray. It was just always on my wish list because Major League is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and I thought, hey, 35 years, maybe we'll get lucky and get it this year. And we did, and they gave us so much. Still got the magnets on the back, this beautiful steelbook that looks like Serrano's locker. I mean, they really gave us all of the bells and whistles, and this truly is one of the best transfers visually of 2024. The only reason I don't even put it at number 1 is because they gave us that same Dolby True HD 5.1 that's been following this movie around. Paramount this year has gotten very lazy when it comes to audio. They've just been transferring any of the previous released Dolby True HD 5.1s, Mean Girls, Primal Fear. This is just what they've been doing all year. They're not really upgrading the audio, which is disappointing. For Major League, if I remember correctly, it's still pretty good, but it's not great when it could have been great because those visuals are a 10 out of 10. Major League has never looked so good. I never expected it to look this good, but man, I am happy that it does. And then at number 2, replacing The Night of the Hunter as the number 1 black and white 4K Blu-ray of all time, I have to go with 1995's La Haine. And coming into 2024, La Haine wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't until I talked to 021 OM6, he recommended to me La Haine, and he always recommends to me great films, so I bought it without ever seeing the movie, and thankfully I did. Now this is an updated version of their previously released Blu-ray, and La Haine is one of the most known French films of all time. I hadn't heard of it, but if you've ever seen this movie, and this movie is very, the plot of this movie follows around a group of kids growing up in France, the ghetto of France, and what their daily struggles are. That could be a very interesting movie, but what makes this movie even more interesting is how beautiful it's shot. The cinematography, the editing, the sound, all that stuff elevates this movie to another level. But it definitely gives you a new perspective on how other people live their lives. And to wrap it up in this beautiful package from the Criterion Collection, yes, everything else but that new 4K scan had been previously released, but that new 4K scan is so worth your time and money. And right now there's a Criterion Collection sale going on all the way through July 28th. It's on the Barnes & Noble's website. So if you're a 4K Blu-ray collector and, Criterion movies, they can be a little bit pricey, I can highly recommend La Haine right now, and you would definitely steal this one at 50% off because it is worth the full price. But for 50% off, you pretty much stole this one.
Your own best interest, proceed with caution, keeping them alive when they shouldn't be.
And then at number 1, I have Crimson Peak, and I did not expect this to be my number 1, but they gave us everything we could have ever wanted. Arrow Video had actually released the previously released Blu-ray, which I did not have, and a lot of people said that Blu-ray is great, but there's no way it's as good as this 4K Blu-ray. Visually, this movie is stunning. Definitely the best visuals I have seen this year. Guillermo del Toro just knows how to shoot a movie, and this might be the best one that he ever shot visually. It's not his best film. In fact, I didn't love this movie as much now as I did when I previously watched it, but I cannot deny this 4K Blu-ray and its quality. You also get the great Arrow Video packaging here. They made this one look like a book. I love that. The beautiful artwork, but really, it's everything that they gave us. There is a ton of extras on this disc as well, so the extras themselves, if you're an extras junkie like me, you are going to love Crimson Peak on 4K Blu-ray. I mean, they really just gave us everything we ever could have wanted with this one. Again, I wish I liked the movie a little bit more, but I just didn't like it as much this time around. I still enjoyed it, but I didn't like it as much as I used to, and, that's a little bit of a shame because, my God, again, this 4K Blu-ray, it is a must-own. Reference quality in so many different ways. And then, of course, the premium packaging from Arrow Video is just the icing on the cake. This is a great release, and so far for 2024, I would say that this is the number 1 release. But guys, that's just my opinion. I want to hear from you in the comment section below. What are the top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2024 so far? And while you're down there, guys, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships. You could become a friend of the channel or a producer like John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. And you can also become a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't you worry about it. All we hope is that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure you guys get out in those streets and tell your friends about us. And then we'll be seeing you around.